Nothing on this knife was made by accident. Every material, every joint, every surface was chosen for a reason. At first glance, the handle looks like centuries-old bug oak. It isn't. It began as an ordinary piece of well-seasoned European oak. Over the next 24 hours, this wood will change dramatically. But this film isn't really about changing its color. It's about the decisions that shape a knife long before the final polish. Every choice has a purpose, and every purpose becomes part of the finished piece. Real bug oak spends centuries beneath waterlogged ground, where time slowly transforms its color. This isn't bug oak, but it follows the same chemistry. Oak contains a remarkable amount of natural tannins. Instead of using stains or dyes, I let those tannins react with concentrated ammonia vapor. The liquid never touches the wood, only the vapor does. While chemistry begins transforming the oak, I can begin shaping the first piece that will eventually frame it. A well-made knife is never the result of a single decision. It's the result of dozens of small ones. This film is the story of those decisions. Before the handle can be made, it needs a solid foundation. The bolster does far more than decorate a knife. It protects the front of the handle, supports the transition between wood and steel, and determines how clean that transition will appear for years to come. For this knife, I chose stainless steel. It demands more patience than brass or copper, but it offers something I value even more. Time will slowly change the oak. Stainless steel will remain almost exactly as it is. Together, they create a contrast that should still look just as deliberate many years from now. Everything begins with this opening. The fit must be precise. Not because the epoxy needs help, but because good joinery should never depend on adhesive alone. When the fit is right, steel meets steel without a visible gap. Only after tang fits perfectly do I shape the outside. A simple template keeps every line symmetrical. Perfect symmetry is something most people never notice until it's missing. The front of the bolster will rest against the wooden sheath every time the knife is drawn. Over the years, those two surfaces will touch thousands of times. A polished finished wood gradually reveals every scratch. Instead, I add subtle texture. It catches the light, softens the appearance of wear, and quietly becomes a part of the knife's character. The first plate becomes the reference of every piece that follows. Building each layer from the previous one, keeps the entire assembly perfectly aligned. The finished bolster consists of 5 stainless steel plates separated by thin black spacers. The black lines do more than create contrast. They separate each layer visually, allowing every piece to keep its own identity. Small details rarely define a knife of their own, but together they define the craftsmanship behind it. 24 hours. That's all it took. The real surprise isn't the surface, it's what happened beneath it. Unlike a stain, this color doesn't disappear with first cut. The ammonia vapor has reacted with the tannins deep inside the oak. Every fresh surface reveals the same transformation. The color will continue to deepen slightly as the wood is exposed to air during the remaining work. At this stage, the pin is only temporary. Its purpose isn't to lock the handle forever. It's there to hold every part in perfect alignment while I shape the handle as a single piece. The reason for that decision won't become clear until later. Most hidden tang handles are glued together before they are shaped. For this knife, I do the opposite. Planning several steps ahead gives me access to details that would otherwise become impossible to reach. It takes more time, but it also gives me more control over the final result. Now the reason becomes clear. Because the handle can still be taken apart, I can remove the center plate one last time. The texture of the front plate is meant to be seen. This detail is different. It isn't here to attract attention. It's there for anyone curious enough to look closer. Some details aren't meant to stand out. They are simply part of doing the job as well as I know how. With every detail complete, the handle can finally be assembled for the last time. The temporary pin has done its job. Now it becomes permanent. Each layer returns in exactly the same order it was made. The front plate, the black spacer, the engraved center plate, the remaining steel layers, and finally the oak. Once the epoxy has cured, the pin is driven home for good. From this point on, The handle becomes a single piece, no longer a collection of carefully fitted parts, but one finished object. The final shaping is subtle. At this stage, I'm no longer creating the form, I'm refining it. Good craftsmanship is rarely about adding more. More often, it's about knowing what can be left out. The blade itself follows the same three-layer forge-welded construction featured in one of my earlier films. If you'd like to see how it was forged from raw steel, you'll find that story at the end of this video. The second oak blank becomes the sheath. The very first cut reveals something important. The color isn't just sitting on the surface, it extends deep into the wood. That's possible because ammonia doesn't color the timber like a stain. Instead, it reacts with the oak's natural tannins. The reaction permanently changes the wood itself. This style of sheath follows the same principle used on traditional Japanese tanto. The blade should slide in smoothly, yet remain secure without rattling or falling free. Achieving that balance depends on careful fitting. Material can always be removed. Putting it back is another matter. By now, every fresh cut tells the same story. What began as ordinary oak has become a completely different material in appearance, while retaining everything that makes oak such an excellent choice for a working knife. The mouth of the sheath receives one final reinforcement. Leather cushions the contact, stainless steel protects the surface from wear. Like every decision before, it is one of as much about longevity as appearance. Thank you for spending this time in my workshop. Until the next project.